This is going to be a tough one to pull off. A lot of information to get through very quickly. Some of it's scientific, but don't fear real science, people. You got to worry about the religion of scientism. I'd like to say good morning to y'all. However, there's nothing good about it. It is, however, Wednesday the 20th of April, 2022. Hey, there's only 30 days in April, and that means we're 10 days away from May 1st. What better way to start up this podcast with a quick review of the Willow City 10-day AccuWeather, courtesy of the Weather Channel and IBM Business. Okay, here we go. Now it's going to be fast and furious, some numbers here, people, but it'll all come together. Wednesday. Today we're going to have a chance of snow. Unbelievable. Wednesday, 37. These are highs. Then we go to 34, 38, 38, 34, 29, 32, 36, 39, 39, 39. Finally, on Sunday, the 1st of May, we hit 44. What's the sky conditions going to be? Are they going to be controlling? You know, the guy with his hand on the black knob? Today, I don't have it. Starting tomorrow. Or no, yes, I do. Today is Wednesday. Holy smokes. Today, AM clouds, PM sun. Then Thursday, mostly cloudy. Friday, showers. Saturday, rain, wind. Sunday, snow showers, wind. Monday, mostly cloudy. Tuesday, partly cloudy. Wednesday, mostly cloudy. Thursday, partly cloudy. Mostly cloudy on Friday the 29th. Mostly cloudy on Saturday the 30th. Partly cloudy on the 1st when we finally breach 40 degrees. Partly cloudy on Monday the 2nd. Mostly cloudy on Tuesday the 3rd of May. Doesn't look like Mr. Sun's going to be out, huh? Nope, someone's trying to hide him. And then we got, of course, our wind speeds, because you got to have wind. Oh, wind makes life enjoyable. We'll start out with a 16. These are miles per hour, people. 14, a 19, a 27, a 26, a 17, a 13, a 17, a 15, a 14, a 15, a 12, 15, and a 13. Gotta love it. Okay, that wasn't so painful, was it, people? Come on, how can you be doubting Thomases out there? There is a guy with his hand on the black knob swinging it left to right, people. Or, as McHale's Navy would say, maybe it's two guys with their hands on levers. Kind of primitive technology. I think they're going with the knob myself. Now, speaking of the defense contractors, yeah, you know the ones, the Raytheons, the Lockheed Martins, the people that give us our accurate weather. Okay, and you know the current thing, don't you? The new fear porn about tactical nuclear weapons. You know, Russia is getting desperate. May they deploy tactical nuclear weapons, and if they do, will all hell break loose? Well, who better at fake news than the fake news source? CNN, Jake Tapper. This is from April 15th, just a few days ago, like 5. Pay attention, people. The fear porn is coming. Now, these are the same people who lied to you for the last 2 years. Also keep that in mind. Here we go.
The presidential palace. We had a very far and wide-ranging interview about many topics. One of the things that he addressed in English, most of his remarks were in Ukrainian, which obviously we will translate. But one of the things he said in English had to do with what the CIA director just said yesterday, which was that the United States is on the lookout for any possible use born out of desperation by Putin of tactical or low-yield nuclear weapons. So,
wait a minute. The CIA is on the lookout for the potential use of tactical nuclear weapons? Wouldn't it be effing obvious to everybody if we believe what we're told about nuclear weapons? Wouldn't Kiev just be surrounded by mushroom clouds, a field of mushroom clouds? Yeah, but they got to be on the lookout. Okay, carry on.
Here is what President Zelensky had to say to that.
The director of the CIA warned that he's worried Putin might use a tactical nuclear weapon in this fight. Are you worried?
Not only me. I think all over the world, all the countries have to be worried.
Not only me, says Zelensky, but all the countries of the world have to be worried. All right, it's fear porn, people, and I'm going to prove it to you. So, how would they know if tactical nuclear weapons were used? Okay, how would you know if one went off 5 miles from where you live? Well, you go look at the blast, the mushroom clouds, the horrific damage, the heat, shockwave, and the people dying for years and years and centuries later from the deadly radiation. So would you get out there with your CDB 700 Geiger counter with the Mueller probe attached, wide open, exposing the Mylar window, and you'd survey the blast site? Is that what you'd do? Well, good luck with that, people, because it's the wrong tool. It's very accurate, counts individual disintegrations. But what you'd really require, because the higher the enriched fissile material, the nuclear material, the more sophisticated equipment you need to survey for, you'd need at best a portable high-quality mass spectrum analyzer. But you never see people with that, do you? So, I'm going to say it right here, and I'll cut this in stone. The only legitimate use for a Geiger counter is to locate and find your fissile inventory, your nuclear materials. Unfortunately, and too often, Geiger counters are used for fear porn. Well, let me give you an example of that. Years ago, ABC News Nightline with Ted Koppel. Yep, remember that show? Chernobyl Revisited. Now here's what you saw, people. You saw a bunch of local villagers with no protective gear. Chernobyl plant looming and towering in the background. These guys were the ultimate downwinders, if you know what I'm saying. And then you saw the clowns, the ass clowns, and the ABC reporter all dressed up to the hilt with protective gear, from their feet to their covered heads, and sophisticated face masks with twin particle filter containers dangling off of them. And they were waving Geiger counters around. Oh, look at this! One of those clowns, all duded up, would point to the ABC reporter. This thing's reading off scale. Oh, the horror of it all, people. Keep in mind the locals conducting day-to-day business, not wearing any protective gear. We're looking at these dressed-up clowns and saying, now they were speaking Russian. I can't speak Russian, but I tell you what I think they were saying. WTF, who sent in the clowns? Now, if I'd have been standing there, I wouldn't have had any PPG on, or whatever you call it, and I would have said, hey, look at your survey meter. It read off scale. So what's your point? You finding your inventory? Well, you should, because you stupid effers. You caught your fuel on fire. You blew it all over the countryside. There's some there. There's some over there. Pick it up, gather it up, reprocess it, and get it back in an operable reactor. I mean, that's simple, but no. That doesn't serve. Facts do not serve fear porn. All right, so did people die at Chernobyl? Well, hell yeah, people died at Chernobyl. A slew of firefighters fighting an intense chemical fire. Remember what happened here? The stupid Russians caught their fuel on fire. Yeah, there was an explosion, a chemical explosion. Yeah, it scattered their fuel all over the countryside, right where them poor people were walking around with no protective gear. And yeah, you should be out there with a Geiger counter finding your material and getting the shit back in there to reprocessing. But it was a chemical fire they were fighting. It was not a nuclear fire. It was not a radioactive fire. Now, I know you're not going to believe me on this, people, but the nuclear chemicals, they're on the same periodic table of elements as carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, the four big chemicals that are life. Don't take my word for it. Do the Google. It's called the transuranic section. Higher atomic numbers. Same periodic table of the elements. All right, now stay with me because I'm going to tie this all together. Remember the fear porn. Will desperate Russia deploy nuclear weapons because they're losing? All right. Hey, now here's a chance I get to tell you a Navy story. I'll make it real quick. When we got relieved from the South China Sea back in '74, we were going to go for 7 to 8 days RNR, stand down. Only time you had to be on ship was if you had your duty section. 6-section duty, so you'd have at least 5 days off. We were heading for Australia, down under. You know where people stand upside down on the ball? How do you stand right side up on a ball, people? But due to weather conditions, I think there was some typhoon operating near Australia. We had to divert and go to Long Dong, Hong Kong. Now that's a very sophisticated city on China mainland, people. But, you know, we couldn't tie up. We could not tie up to a pier. We had to anchor out. We had to moor out in the Hong Kong harbor. You know what you see in the Hong Kong harbor? a zillion Captain Crunch boats. Yep, they're amazing, cool looking things. Antique, but cool. So we had to anchor out, and we had a water taxi in to the piers. Now, why is that? Because our ship, the USS England, DLG-22, was nuclear capable. See, we had Terrier missile systems fore and aft, front and back, and they had missile lockers where the nuclear weapons were stored. I'll clue you in. And they maintained a 24-hour guard for our ships, armed guards, and nobody else on board except other crew members. Hey, and this is a coincidental story. One of the guards I was talking to on the forward hatch, forward missile launcher, was Steve Bubblitz. I will mention names because that was so long ago. And he was from Osseo High School. Right. Same place my wife graduated from. She knew of Steve and knew his sister very well. Small world, huh? I decided to throw that in there, a little human interest for you. So, now let's get down to this nuclear nonsense of today's cruise missiles. Alright, we'll go over here. I got a couple of check out of things. How Putin, Putin, genocidal Putin, he just loves to kill people, rains down death on the Ukraine. March 1st, 2022. The missile being used is believed to be the Kalibr, Kalibr, a long-range cruise missile developed by Russia as a rival to the American-made Tomahawk. Oh yeah, we had the Tomahawk missiles in the 70s, people. 30 feet long, weighing up to 2.3 tons, and packing a 500-kilogram high-explosive or thermonuclear warhead. Okay, the Kalibr is Russia's weapon of choice. Now let's get down to converting that 500 kilograms. That equals about 1,100 pounds. So here's what you're going to tell me. And here's what they tried to tell us about the cruise missile, the Tomahawk. You're going to tell me they're going to take 1,102 pounds of TNT, some high explosive, and pack it into a 30-foot missile? Or do you think they might use a sphere of plutonium about the size of a golf ball? Now, what would you use if you were a weapons designer? 1,500 or 1,200? Okay, now the Tomahawk 2 was 1,500 pounds of TNT. Believe it or not, high explosives. Okay, so here's what you do, people. You go over here and you do the Google, and you type in capital W80 space atomic space pit, and you'll get a picture of the W80, and you'll see two guys standing around. That goes on the end of the cruise missile. Now, it may be a 30-foot long son of a bitch, but how much of that is propellant? How much of that is the rocket that delivers the warhead? How much of that is the sophisticated computerized telemetry? You know how a cruise missile works? Either satellites fly over an area and map it, or aircraft fly over and map it, and then the cruise missile flies a program, a computer program. Low, fast, very difficult to detect because it has a low radar profile. Yeah, this thing doesn't fly blind. Doesn't just go from point A to point B. It navigates based on a computer program. So you got to get the rocket propellant in there. You got to get the telemetry in there, and the sophisticated computer works. And you're going to still have room for 1,100 to 1,500 pounds of H&E? Give me a break, people. How stupid do you think they think we are? I think they think we're pretty stupid and we buy their beer porn. Did you guys ever hear of Atomic Annie? Well, 1950, people. It was nuclear atomic artillery. Deployed 1955 to 1962 in West Germany and South Korea. That was 60-some years ago. What do you really think the Army issues now today? Do you really honestly believe that the Army is issuing flintlock rifles and muskets to their troops? Or do you think something's a little more sophisticated? Here's the whole takeaway, people. They've been using limited nuclear weapons for years. Why wouldn't you? What kind of a dumbass weapons designer would say, well, we could use this small sphere of plutonium, about the size of a golf ball. You want a bigger weapon? We'll kick it up the size of a softball. Or you see them crates over there? Yeah, that's 1,100 pounds of TNT. We got to figure a way to pack all that shit in this tube here. this 30-foot tube. Insane. Don't believe it for a second. They lie to us, people. Yes, nuclear weapons can be devastating. But if you survive the blast wave, the shock wave, and the heat wave, what's your problem? You're going to die of radiation? You're going to be Chernobyl revisited? Hey, right after the incident, them people are walking around. They're just doing fine. They're doing fine today. 8 hours after the nuclear weapon went off in Hiroshima, the trains and subways were running and back on schedule. Pure porn, people. Don't fall for it. So, that's my little spiel for today. Oh, I see I'm running long again. God damn. I got stuff to do.